Hello there, welcome back to the show, and today I'm going to talk about two 70s crazy genre films, which are Freebie and the Bean and Rolling Thunder. Now, Freebie and the Bean was an actual studio film, while Rolling Thunder was an independent film that was went from place to place to place and was released. But they're both genre films, and they're both made by directors who did interesting work, as well as some flawed work. And the kind of films that kind of critically disappeared quite quickly, but had a good fan base that kept them going. So these were like the crazy genre films that weren't quite auteur films, and they weren't quite lazy studio films like Airport or anything. They were kind of in between, where they had the crazy element of the indie aesthetic of the new Hollywood, but they're also actual genre films. Their purpose was to entertain and get from A to B in the plot, and at least their purported purpose. But I think they kind of loved the eccentricity of what they could do. So they are kind of made up of a lot of fun sequences more than the overall plot being stuck together as something lean and mean, really. So that's kind of the joy of some of the 70s genre films, is it's like they follow the rules, but they don't follow them too closely. I mean, the king of the 70s like genre films, indie weird genre films, is Assault on Precinct 13, really. It's when he does it perfectly. You know, that's kind of crime element, the crime part of it, which is what both these films are. One's a cop movie, one's a movie by a guy turning to the vigilante. But I don't think either of them is perfect as Assault on Precinct 13. But they're still very enjoyable. One I like more than the other. But they're both films, it's like, you'd say, we should have watched this, you'd say, yeah, watch it. Now, I like Freebie and the Bean more than Rolling Thunder, because Rolling Thunder has one flaw which bugs the hell out of me. But still, it's that thing is like, I had a few problems with it, but I can see a lot of people liking it, so I would say, yeah, definitely watch it and give it a shot on your own, because there is a lot there that's good. But I'll start with Freebie and the Bean. Freebie and the Bean was basically that weird thing of the studio bought a script and didn't know what to do with it. They kind of liked the general idea, but they weren't quite sure what to do with it, and they had a release date planned, and it was like, so basically what they did was they found a director they liked, said, go and make your film with this material. Just do what you want with this. Here's a certain amount of money, we can budget for it. Go make a film. And this time the director was Richard Rush, who later on had come from the independent world of the Corman, or the kind of people who were working around Corman, same kind of budget level, made some like biker movies, and then he moved up in the world. It was kind of like the same kind of things like Monty Hellman, who also moved up in the world, but Monty Hellman stuck to his, I'm in an indie, and ended up getting escorted back out of the industry quite quickly. Richard Rush was weird in the sense that he stuck around, in the sense that he made his films, but some people liked him. But eventually, by the time the 90s came around, he gets stuck as well. I mean, he made The Colour of Night, which is not a good film, but he also made The Stuntman in the 80s, which was revered. So it's like one of those things where he had a kind of a career that was difficult. But in the 70s, he had a bit of an easier time. So he made Freebie and the Bean. Now, Freebie and the Bean is one of those films I saw a lot as a kid, because it was on TV a lot, and a lot of my family members, like uncles and things, all loved it. It was that kind of working class hit film more than a film that the critics loved. The critics hated this film. The critics thought this film was vulgar and stupid and just not up to their standards, you know. But the audiences loved it, and when you watch it, you can see why. I mean, it is a Shaggy Dog story. There is a plot they're following, but the plot doesn't really matter so much as it's a story about these two guys, these two cops, following this case where they have to keep, they're following this criminal, they have to keep him alive all weekend so they can arrest him on Monday, because there's a guy coming in who's got evidence on this guy so they have to keep him alive so they can arrest him. The criminals the guy knows are sending hitmen to kill him because they don't want him to talk and tell the cops about other important people that would lead to many arrests. So it's like the cops try to protect the criminal. And that's the basic plot. That's just an excuse to throw in like car chases and crazy stuff. Now, Freebie is played by James Caan. He's the women's man. This is the most James Caan could ever be. Because in a lot of the film, he has a persona, but a lot of the time he's playing it up. Because if you see something like Thief, and even some of his 70s films, he's actually a pretty sensitive performer at times. He can do subtle stuff, and he would always do subtle stuff, but also do the entertaining stuff. He would go back and forth as much as he could, really. And this is the entertainment one. This is like, he just went to town with it, and he just had a ball with it, just playing up what everyone thought he actually was like. So he's playing this guy who's a cop, but he accepts, like, it's not bribes, it's more like a nice jacket here, bit of food there. He's one of those people, he's not really out for massive promotions, he's just enjoys being on the streets, he enjoys his life, and he knows how to look the other way at times, but he's also out to get the major villains, really. So he's that kind of cliche, but James Caan has fun with the part and plays it as like a movie star part that's also an eccentric character part. So he plays up the cool stuff that people would like in a movie, but he also plays up the kind of slightly vain, slightly eccentric, someone who's probably more going on in meets the eye, and it's a fun performance. It's not one of his best performances, but it's a fun performance. But the thing is, he's paired with Alan Arkin, who Arkin plays the Bean. The Bean is this very kind of rule-based, cop who's got a family. He's meant to be of Mexican descent, even though it's Alan Arkin who's Jewish. It's like, this is the 70s where they get people playing different nationalities and having eccentric accents and who cares type of thing. It's a movie star performance type of thing by a character actor. He's having a lot of fun playing this guy who's always angry, but he's trying to have this kind of restrained, responsible persona. And him and Arkin and Caan play off each other great. They're having a lot of fun. Arkin's one of those actors who, if you put him with the right other actor, he can be a riot. I mean, he's good. He's always good. But if you get him with somebody like Caan, he's great. Maybe again, when you see him in Peter Falk and The In-Laws, he's also great. It's like sometimes you give him someone to bounce off, he can really ratchet up even more. And here he's just having a blast playing this guy who's thinks he's sane, but he's really not. And then you throw him into car chases and all these weird situations, and you have a lot of fun with it. And that's the film. This film is pretty much a prototype for the buddy movie, made before there was such a thing as a buddy movie. Now, there have been films before that had the prototype of the buddy movie of two mismatched people. I mean, this goes all the way back to the screwball comedy and further back into theatre. It's not like it's a new form that anyone created. It's just, this is the first time they went, this set up with some cops can be fun. And the film did well, but that prototype didn't really take off until the 80s. It started to become more of a thing. I mean, the first one was 48 Hours, which was a crook and a cop, and then slowly went to Lethal Weapon, and it became a cliche for a while, and then it just died off because it was overused. But this was the first one. It's still one of the best ones. I mean, it's got a Shaggy Dog Story script. The script is just there to get to the next action scene or the next comedy scene. I mean, the comedy stuff is like Arkin knows his wife's cheating on him, but he can't prove it. And whenever he tries to catch her out in a lie, she's ahead of him at the end of the game. And his wife's played by Valerie Harper, and some of those scenes are the best in the film because he's doing his best. He thinks he's got her, and she always sneaks out. And it's just hilarious. And Caan's got a girlfriend who's much smarter than you'd expect from some of his reputation, and then you see he's actually smarter than he looks. And everyone's smart than the looks. Everyone plays up their dumbness to fool everyone else. The film has some controversy, even then, but much further now, with having a cross-dressing killer as one of the villains. But it's actually in the 70s, it actually worked really well, because this is an actor who could play someone who could pass as a woman. And it wasn't like, this is all trans people or all cross-dressers. This guy's a psycho. He's feminine looking, so sometimes he hides who he is to suggest that a woman didn't robbery rather than a man. And it's just another weird genre trope made by people who are just saying, let's try this. I don't think they were thinking anything beyond that. But it was something that felt very new in the 70s and 80s. It was like something you didn't really see very often. So now it gets hammered for this, and it's like, that was the times. That was just it. You just have to accept it. And it's a fun sequence in a bathroom where Can versus this guy dressed as a woman and a criminal is beating the crap out of this macho guy. I mean, basically Can just survives out of luck. You know, he gets his ass kicked. And so it's like, that thing is much more self-aware than people think it is. It's actually, no, the macho guy gets his ass kicked. And the actor's playing along, like, he knows the joke. And basically the big joke is Freebie and the Bean are actually, they're basically like a bickering married couple in a squad car. There's two really good action scenes, good chases. One, a car chase that goes everywhere, causes so much damage. They end up in what would become a cliche. They end up flying off a bridge into a old couple's apartment building. And the best joke about that is them trying to get out the car once the car's like this, and they're trying to get out the car, and it's very awkward, and it works really well. Because they don't just do it all through the thing, and that's the joke. No, the joke is them trying to get out the car and then asking, "Do you have a phone? We need to call this in." And it's like that kind of thing. Then there's another one where they're chasing these people down, and James Caan has to follow them on a bike through all these different areas, and it's a lot of fun as well. And then the finale, trying to chase down a killer in a football stadium is fun too. I mean, there's some good fun action scenes that are, some people are a bit annoyed at them now, I think, because they're not taking themselves too seriously. They take themselves serious enough for the action to be fun and enjoyable, but that's it. That's not like, oh, this is a great dramatic moment. No, this is basically this is an excuse to have a fun action scene, and they're well aware of that. So Freebie and the Bean is just a lot of fun. It's too long. It's 2 hours long, and it could have lost 15 minutes. I think it would have been a much better, well-paced film. But in the 70s, that was the natural pace of these kind of films. So it was like, it was just of its time. It's just now looking back on it, it's like, you could lose a little bit here or there. The other film is Rolling Thunder. Now, Rolling Thunder is the one I have more of a problem with. Even though it's a fun genre film, I think it could be much more. And it was based on a script by Paul Schrader that was heavily rewritten. So Paul Schrader has a story credit and a co-screenplay credit with Haywood Gold, and basically it was directed by John Flynn. So basically, they had the script. The script was too inflammatory for the studio, so it was sold to an indie studio, and John Flynn was brought in to direct, and then they rewrote the script, and basically a lot was done to the script, and Paul Schrader wasn't very happy with it, and he pretty much views it as a compromised film, which it is. It really is. You can feel it in the film. It's very compromised. There are some problems with the film, especially the fact that it sets something up from the early on, and at the end of the film, it doesn't go through with it. It's like, this was your whole point of being. The whole point of being in this film is the protagonist, played by William Devaney, was meant to go out in a mass suicide shooting spree at the end, but in the film he survives. Him and his pal survive, even though they're obviously shot to hell, and it's like, So that thing is like, you didn't really follow up on what you were promising from the start. It's like, This film had only one purpose, and you didn't actually do it. And it's like, well, screw you, film. You can't do that. And it's not like that because Schrader wrote Taxi Driver, which also had a big shout ending, but that was more a character-based thing, and the actual resolution's actually creepier because they have an actual some scenes afterwards which actually makes the ending creepier. This film doesn't have that. It just has the ending, and it's like doesn't really work. There was stuff that Schrader wanted in that was taken out, like the idea that the lead character was actually racist, and they took that out. So it's based about a guy who comes back. He's been a prisoner of war for years. He comes back from Vietnam. He's a war hero, and he's treated like a war hero in the town. But he's having problems fitting in. Now, in Schrader's script, he was a war hero who was actually a coward and hadn't fired a shot. He was just viewed as a war hero, but he actually wasn't. And this one, he is a war hero. Because Willem Dafoe's a more macho guy than probably what the script was asking for. And the big problem in the film is Willem Dafoe as... I mean, that's just... I'm not sure what's the biggest problem, Dafoe or the ending not living up to what they're promising throughout the film. But Dafoe is miscast to a degree. In a way that he's competent, but he's not inspiring as that part. What makes it worse is Tommy Lee Jones is in the film as his sidekick. He's the guy who also went through the hell of POW camp, and he's so much better than Dafoe. He's just got this kind of look that something's off with this guy, something's just wrong. But he's polite on the surface, and it's like, it's pure Travis Bickle. It's like he could play Travis Bickle quite easily. Probably more psycho Travis Bickle, but he could play that, he knows that part, and it's like, just give it to him, make him the lead. But he wasn't a big star then, so no. And that becomes a thing, is Dafoe's not up to the part. That's the big thing. He's okay. There's things that work with him, because he's a bit more normal, it's harder to see the psycho within him. But the problem is, when they ask him to actually be that psycho, I don't think he pulls it off. I think he just still feels like a mildly annoyed person rather than a full-on psycho. So basically, he comes back. He ends up. He gets things from the town, and he's trying to recover from his experience. When he and his wife are going to get a divorce because his wife ended up seeing someone else, because she thought he was dead. So it's awkward because the person she saw was one of his friends from when he was away. So that's awkward, and then just as they're trying to make sense of that, and in a sequence, the first third is basically that plot of the wife wants a divorce, and it's too long. It just feels like it could have been, if it was cut down a bit more, you'd have felt it more. Every scene's left a bit too long, and it just feels you don't get the impact of the situation. It just feels like it's meandering on a little bit too much, which the rest of the film doesn't do. Once the actual story kicks in, the rest of the film is fairly well paced, but this first section is like, it's just a little too long, and it's a little tedious, and just like, it's setting stuff up, but it's that thing of sometimes less is more if you shoot the less right. And I feel they had the material for the less, it just they didn't really have the kind of discipline to cut it down to what it needed to be. So basically, once a family is attacked and his wife and child are killed, he's out for revenge. And first he has to recover, and the whole idea is him slowly recovering, and he looks normal, but he's really just planning revenge. He knows certain details, and he's going to go to Mexico and find out who everyone is, and he's going to hunt them down one by one. And as the film gets good, he has a kind of relationship with this young woman who's a big fan of him because he's a war hero, and she ends up going with him for a lot of the story until she realises this guy is gone. This guy is really gone. Again, the problem there is Dafoe's not gone enough, but she's really good, and it's like the actress is doing a lot of the work, and there's just this sense of it's building in the script, in the direction, and the other performances building to something, but the lead performance is not. but everything else is so good in the film at that point. It's like, it's probably not what Schrader wanted in all the details, but as a genre film, it's good. But it's just the lead performance still is keeping it back. For me, a lot of people like this performance. That's the big thing I'm trying to be careful in reviews, is that a lot of people like this performance. I didn't, but I can appreciate the film. Eventually, she splits with him. He ends up going back to get Tommy Lee Jones, who's supposedly had a good family relationships, but he's one of those people who's just a walking time bomb. He's waiting for something else. So when Devaney offers him a chance to go and get these Mexicans who killed his wife, he's ready to go and ready to fight. And again, this is probably where Schrader was angry that they took it the racist angle, because there's obviously a racist angle there. And the character being a racist would have made it much murkier and more interesting, but they don't want to go there in this film. They want to make it feel like these are just guys out for revenge. There's another subplot that works really well, is the guy who was seeing the wife who was killed. He also tries to follow up in the whole thing, what Devaney's doing, and he ends up getting killed for it. And it's a really good sequence when he's getting hunted in this cow fencing area that's really well done. There's lots of really well done sequences, and there's a chase through there to this abandoned building where he finally gets killed. Again, there's lots of good well done sequences, genre sequences, because the director knows what he's doing with that stuff. He's stuck with Devaney, which always pulls it back. The final sequence is good as well. There's lots of fun, weird things. So it's a good example of a good, weird 70s film. It just doesn't follow through in the kind of suicidal glory angle that I'm sure the script had to disturb you, and this film just doesn't have it. It becomes a revenge tale rather than a tale about the weirdness of revenge. And it doesn't really follow through with the conclusion, because this guy's nothing to live for now, but he still walks away, and it's like, it's just a nothing ending. It's just like there's no definition. It's like, we don't want this guy to die because it's a studio film, or because it's an indie film that kind of can be sold to a studio, so let's not kill him off, even though he's nothing to live for. It's just this kind of weird, unsatisfying ending. So that's Rolling Thunder. It's enjoyable. A lot of people love it. I didn't, but it was enjoyable. I can see why people like it. It just wasn't for me. And the bizarre thing is, I'd much rather watch Hardcore, which is a Paul Schrader film that is famously very flawed, but it has George C. Scott in the centre of it, going full on crazy, which is just the thing this film so needed. So there you go. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll be back with some more. That's me for now. Bye.